Hi, folks. Joey Kelly here in my home office slash video editing bay. And recently I had the chance to go over to my folks' place and raid their cabinet of VHS tapes, plug them into the still underneath the TV VCR, and do a little recording on my laptop. The first tape I grabbed is the one that you're about to see. 31 years old, and it features our 1953 Studebaker truck. Tell you a little bit more about it after the video.
I'm Joe Parham. The lottery hands me this microphone and tells me to pack my bags. They want me to find out just who plays their games and why. So here goes. My dog Scratchy here, he can sniff out a window 2 miles away. And my nephew Bud's going to record this adventure. Wow! Must be a new instant game out. Everybody's in such a hurry to get in on the winning. Let's investigate. One more gear, Bud, and we're on our way. People say there's a lot of big lottery players here in Bangor. We'll check it out. If he plays, well, that better be a tall jackpot to keep him happy. You folks play Maine State Lottery games? Yeah! And who says donuts aren't good for you? Go on the donuts. Well, this will take a while. Let's see what these guys have to say. Pardon me, you play Maine State Lottery games?
Oui, monsieur, tout le temps. C'est formidable. Chaque semaine.
I believe he says he does.
Je gagne tout.
You play?
Shoot, partner, it's the American thing to do.
Shoot, it's the main thing to do. Got that camera rolling, Bud? Okay. Joe Parham here, talking with Mainers. Why do you play the lottery?
Because I could be a millionaire.
Why do you play?
Keep my wife happy.
How many hot dogs can you buy with your last winning?
One.
What do you like about the lottery?
It's fun.
What are you doing?
Scratching,
What are you doing now?
scratching some more.
What are you doing now?
I think I'm winning.
I think we're onto something, folks.
Well, there it is, folks. A 31-year-old tape made in the summer of 1993. In case you didn't see that on the date, they were all released or at least authorized in September of 1993. So, featuring the humorist, the now late Joe Parham, who passed in 2013. Driving my grandfather's 1953 Studebaker truck. So 3 generations of my family have driven that truck. My grandfather, my father, and myself. And Joe Parham has too. My dad had to teach him actually how to drive it because it's a 3-speed manual on the column shift. And it has a electrically actuated overdrive system. So you have to know how to shift it into fourth, so to speak, as it were, or overdrive. Anyway, I was, let me think. I would have been 10 years old when this was being shot. So my memories of it are a little shaky. I do remember that uh, all of the shots with our truck were done right in the vicinity of Bangor because that's where, well, in that area is where I still live and where my parents still live and where the truck is still berthed. So it was very easy for us to get to various spots. The photo shoots were, as I recall, the first spot was the Hamden, Maine rest area on the interstate. I don't know if it was the northbound or the southbound side. I don't know. I suspect it was the northbound side, but that's just a guess, to be honest. Um, the the second location was by the Paul Bunyan statue in Bangor. That's pretty obvious. There's only one wicked tall statue of Paul Bunyan in this area. That was pretty obvious. The that same episode though, there's that lunch counter with those kind of bodybuilding rugged fitness types. That, if I recall correctly, was and I'm guessing, because again, this was 30 years ago, I'm pretty sure that was in Holden, Maine, at what is now the Freshies convenience store. At some point, that was the Ledbetter's convenience store before Freshies bought it. And before that, it was a private store that, as I recall, looked more like a log cabin. And they had that lunch counter in there, evidently. And I'm pretty sure that that's where that was shot. Like I said, the building's long gone now. This was 30 years ago. So I can't go back and verify that. And then there was another couple. There was another kind of a long distance shot with our truck and amongst some semi trucks. That was shot, no surprise, outside Dysart's truck stop in Herman. And I don't know where that last commercial was shot. The that exterior view with the truck kind of in the background. I don't know where that was. There wasn't enough of a landmark in the footage to give me an indicator, and I went, oh. What I do remember about that one is that the lady who is shown scratching off the scratch ticket was actually the lady who owned and trained the dog, or dogs, because I think there was two, that were used to shoot the commercials. And I remember my dad commenting at the time, well, if they could put the lady with the dogs in the shot, how come they can't put the guy that owns the truck? So I I don't think he was serious, but he seemed a little bit put out about it at the time. Um, so yeah, this was shot sometime in 1993. I want to say it was late spring, I think, or very early fall. Because I distinctly remember we had to take me to school one day because we had to miss the bus to go run the truck over to somewhere for a shoot. Dad drove the truck, Mother drove our family car, and picked Dad up and then took him back to the house. He went to work, and then she took me to school. So this was some point during the school year. But that's really all I remember. Somewhere, I know we had at one point, and I'll have to ask my dad if he still has it, we had a Polaroid photo showing the truck with the camera gear strapped and lashed to it. That was kind of cool. And we rode around with the Maine State Lottery logo, which, by the way, was only on the driver's side door. They only had one decal made up, or a sticker or whatever. And we rode around with that on there for, I think, the entire summer, what was left of it, or maybe the next summer, however that fell in the timeline. And it was kind of cool to have the truck that you saw on the TV commercials for the Maine State Lottery. Yeah, it was cool. It was kind of cool to know that you had a small piece of television history sitting in your garage. And that's the feeling I get even watching this tape 30 years later, 31 years later. So, hope you've enjoyed this. I have cleaned up the audio a little bit, try to get some noise out of it. Again, 30-year-old tape. And I did cut out a couple of the commercials that didn't have the truck. I think a total of 3 that didn't have the truck in it, that were all shot in different locations, Augusta, and one was shot in Bath. But they didn't have the truck in them, so I said, who cares? Huge shout out to the Maine State Lottery, the DI group for doing the production work, the late Joe Parham for being in it, and of course my father for coordinating getting this truck in there. And now you know a little bit more about my family and our 1953 Studebaker truck. Thanks for watching, folks.